Welcome to One Word a Day. I'm Sophie, your pilot into the universe of Chinese. Let's continue. Review week 5. We start with air, qi. And this is how qi was written way before digitization, but it's the starting point of standardization. And you can see these are spiraling airs going up. It conforms to what we understand as air dynamic, the physics. And so Chinese reserve the 3 strokes, but instead we add this extra downward stroke and this extra upper point of the hook thing to give it a structure that's later generations can be easily repeat and recognize, for the eyes to recognize. So it serves multiple functions. This gives you the idea of the evolution of the look of the word. It came from a pretty realistic, even if it's on an abstract level, of what nature would show us how an air flows. I guess one of the ways of the airflow, right? But Chinese would put that and standardize it and now digitize it to have extra strokes to give to stabilize how this character would look. And compare with qi, this qi, almost pronounced the same except changed tonally. And that tone change, and also this one additional line over there, I kind of manually, you can tell, block out the middle line. We only have 2 upward spiraling air. So instead of 3, we have 2. That conforms to Chinese understanding of begging. The behavior of begging means your airflow, the energy from you, does not come in this continuation and this full form represented by 3 cyclical spiral air. It misses. It lacks something, and in fact, it lacks the core in the middle, right? And so it gives you the sense of you don't have this through air through you. So something about the energy is missing. You're not in your full form with a full blown air, right? Almost like your chest are not puffed up enough. And that's the posture associated when people beg. So here, again, we remove that horizontal line, critical information, and have the stylized strokes added to the edges. Another similar looking thing, pronounced the same, qi. For the most part, Chinese would be able to just audibly differentiate the two by the context. When we're talking about something, of course, the subject matter would make it clear, is it about air or vapor? In the case of when misunderstanding could occur, people would kind of intentionally say, like, which qi, make a phrase out of it. And by that, we definitively differentiate the 2 types of qi. Okay, so here, this qi with the water symbol added. So we have the water and the air, 2 forms of the material. We're just missing the solid thing in there, right? And this 2 forms marks the blending of the 2 forms of material. That's a vapor. And so besides the qi, stylized part for ease of writing and for the efficiency of eye recognition, this is the abstraction and simplification of water symbol. Now we come to the cloud. We already see the air, and Chinese not only I want to say Chinese is more compository thinking, like integrative. So okay, if we separate calculus into differentiation and integration, okay, I'm for sure the vocabulary here. Chinese is on the integration side firmly. English is more on the differentiation side. English would use different words to be precise, to put it in the exact narrow scope of that word, versus Chinese would use the same character and context dependent to differentiate according to the context. The good thing about the Chinese way of integration is we are then able to recognize the commonalities between different contexts, right? We can see the commonness instead of divisive. This is integrative way of thinking. So in that line, general line of philosophy and approaches of worldview, the cloud and air, well, actually I was talking about air. This air gives it a sense of, not only is it the air in nature, how it moves, we also use that to describe the air from humans. Our inhale and exhale, only a small portion of the environmental air, but it's connected and it can be the same air. So human air used on human is the same as the air out there. So this air symbol can be used in a variety of ways. Can be meteorology, can be breath, right? So it can scale up from human to the universe, a whole level of scales sharing the same character. So 云 here, cloud, also give you this layering of our universe. The top line is the upper bound of our existence, which is the skyline almost, right? Sky, not the skyline, okay? The visible sky to human eyes. And then underneath that, that's the meteorology. Under it is the cloud. And we use two horizontal lines with this something attached on that lower level beneath sky that's floating around. And in this case, it's stylized in an oval shape, something puffy attached to that second layer, not onto the sky, but something beneath that. That's observable in ancient times. And traditional Chinese also add rain symbol on top of that. Recognize the cloud can convert to rain, and rain before it falls becomes rain, it can be cloud. All right, so there is a recognition there. So compare with the cloud in an ancient form, contemporary streamline, again, make it easy to write, to kind of draw, instead of drawing an oval, which is so hard to write, we just straight line things, make it a triangle thing, but with intentionally not close this part, because cloud is just like water, is a flowing thing. Remember 行云流水, one of my favorite phrases, describe it as a flowing. So flowing means there got to be an exit in there. It's not stale. It's not fully enclosed. All right. Then we have a yu, also two horizontal lines. And then we have this puff of air from humans. Again, this human air connection to the universe. So this is almost like a direct line from us. And this horizontal line, second one, would be regarded as barrier. So between us and the universe, there are some, let's say, noise in between. And we were able to project our air onto the universe. And that's kind of a projection of our intention out there. Just like in Christianity, right? God helps someone who helped themselves, right? It talks about human agency. So this help idea is almost like someone who helped themselves is this intention. They want to do something from their own agency. And then God, represents this top line, is answer to that because you were able to get through the noises and project your will, your intention onto the universe. And that's the abstract concept of act. It's also related, kind of, in a similar shape, related to cloud. So this is how the puff of air, human air, direct intention upward. And later we stylize that with a hook. And we have kui, which also a puff of air coming out of a human. But this time, it didn't go all the way through, touch the universe, the upper bound. So it's almost like aborted intention. Therefore, Chinese regard that as loss. Because you spend your energy, you have this air coming out of you. However, you couldn't make it through. Here is the block. You got a blockage over there. So that's how Chinese conceptualize loss. And again, we have this hook over there. The whole crew is here. Qi, 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 yun, yu, kui. Okay, just want to point out, these are visually similar, you can tell, but yun, yu, kui may not be so easily visible of the connections. But all they're sharing is two horizontal lines here. And then depends on what's describing here with the cloud, your intention going at the sky, or the aborted or blocked intention here. Your puff of air, kind of a bendy, twisty, but you weren't able to make it through. I had almost like a long conversation with ChatGPT, talk about the origins of these three, and I need to do some more research, but according to the OWAD, which is a compository of all the previous research on Chinese language, these three were differentiated in later age. At the very beginning, in the oracle bones, which occur probably 4,000 years ago-ish, with written record carved onto bones. Those were like cloud and add, these two concepts sometimes were not clearly mapped and stay consistent. So at the beginning, these are all characters that kind of grouped together and a kind of embryo of Chinese character in ancient form. It's not differentiated. It's almost like, human embryo is before we know it's a boy or girl stage. And later on, in different contexts, then their shape grow into to fit the meaning. So at the beginning, the shape is uncertain, and later on, it's determined. And I guess it's through generations of language users, scholars standardize, remove those controversial or garden varieties we had, eventually got standardized, and that's what we got here. And even if they look different in a ways, but I hope through this week we can see the three really are connected. And here are the hooks, the dots, the abstractions, the streamlines of the Chinese characters compared with its original form. And here you go, from air to vapor. We just add water to that. Thank you for your time. See you another day.